For more now on the ambassador's passing, we are joined by the chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on International Relations, Supra Mahumapelo. Ntate Mahumapelo, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. So you have shared early political activism with Mthethwa. You've also gone through a very turbulent time when you were a premier of the Northwest, and just with him helping you work through that post-ANC 2007 Polokwane conference. What would you say are the fondest memories that you have of Mthethwa?
His ability to always insist on comrades focusing on developing themselves as cadres, because he always insisted, and we always say so ourselves, that you can't want to lead society if you don't familiarize yourself and have the tools to be able to understand that society fully, and to be able to understand the world within which the politics in which we are leading the society is taking place. From building the African National Congress Youth League, through difficult times of building the Youth League, the African National Congress, he was deployed to our province in the Northwest when I was the provincial chair, and we managed some of the complex political issues, including governance issues, and we have always worked together. When he was leading the Department of Arts and Culture, we always worked together because we had made culture one of the critical pillars of the economy in the Northwest Province by then. But as the Portfolio Committee now of International Relations, we are giving our condolences to the family, to the ANC, to the friends, to the diplomatic community, and we hope and wish that investigations will be done thoroughly, and that we will get to know as South Africa, as the family, as the ANC and the rest of the world, as to what actually happened which led to Comrade Nathi having passed away.
You actually made a call to Mrs. Buthelezi Mthethwa the minute you found out that the ambassador had gone missing. And like you're saying, you're calling on the French authorities to thoroughly investigate the circumstances around the ambassador's death. Are you satisfied so far in terms of the reports that we are getting that are sort of leaning towards the fact that this could have been an intentional death on his part?
What we are happy about as the Portfolio Committee is the cooperation we are seeing between three parties: the French authorities, the South African embassy authorities, and the family. So on that score, we are happy. What we are waiting with eagerness is the final report on the agencies that are investigating circumstances which may have led and may have resulted in him leaving this planet.
You, as the family spokesperson rather mentioned earlier that the remains may be released early next week. From an international relations perspective, what would be the process of repatriation once those remains are then handed over to the family?
There are protocols which are laid down by Department of International Relations and Cooperation. The minister did explain those protocols yesterday. As the Portfolio Committee of Parliament, our responsibility is to make sure that those protocols are adhered to, and that they are not compromised, and that they don't compromise the state, they don't compromise the family and the standing of South Africa. So we are happy with the report we are getting from Minister Lamola in the department on adherence to those protocols which must be followed for the necessary repatriation of the ambassador's body back to South Africa. Once here, the department will announce the processes that may be about the memorial service and the burial itself and the visits to the family.
While we still have you on the line, Ntate Mahumapelo, the Israeli forces have intercepted flotilla, sparking global protests, of course, with many of those activists that have now been detained. What is South Africa's view in terms of the actions of the Israeli special forces, particularly in the context of international law?
The activists that went on the flotilla to Gaza to deliver humanitarian aid, we support them and we salute them. But they knew before they even left as part of the plan that there was no way Israel was going to leave them unattended. So that's for sure they knew. So in the plan, they had to plan for this eventuality, and that eventuality is there now. And I have seen the statement issued by South Africa. We support that statement that humanitarian relief, wherever it is coming from, has to be allowed by Israel because it's about the life of the people of Gaza, of Palestine. Those people are not carrying weapons. They are simply trying to make sure that people can survive in those human-made and imposed conditions done by the apartheid state of Israel. And we hope that as part of the 20 points plan discussed between the US and Israel and broadly supported by other member states, as part of that plan, it will include not disrupting people and other member states and organizations that are helping the people of Palestine to survive with water, with food, with medication, and so on. On a humanitarian basis, Israel must be able to allow those processes to go through. On the abduction of the activists who are sailing there to bring relief to Gaza, we are calling upon the state of Israel to comply with international laws and release those people who have been abducted, to make sure that ultimately they deliver what is supposed to be delivered to Gaza, which is aid.
Is there an active intervention by the South African government currently to ensure that those activists are brought back to the country?
The South African government can only work within the norms that are laid down by international law. So remember, as the South African government, we believe in multilateralism. And as part of us practicing multilateralism through the channels of diplomacy, we are calling upon the United Nations, all the ancillary bodies of the United Nations, to make sure that there is an intervention on this particular matter. All the activists all over the world who have converged to make sure that they go to Gaza and deliver aid within the laws that are laid by the United Nations, Israel has to comply. So what South Africa is doing, not only publicly, is to send the messages through the diplomatic channels in the context of the United Nations, so that we act within the rule of law which is laid down by the UN.
In your view, Chairperson, how might this incident just influence the diplomatic relations between South Africa and Israel, and what measures do you think need to be considered in order to address a further fallout between the two countries, and subsequently maybe just some of the relations then that South Africa has with the US?
South Africa will want to continue to have relations with other member states, but other member states must make sure that we respect the international institutions which are put in place and agreed to make sure that states live side by side in peace. We are calling for peace all over the world as South Africa, and we believe that there must be negotiations in all matters of conflict around the world. It's only through negotiations. Weapons are not going to help, and war is not going to help. That's the position of South Africa. South Africa is continuing to engage with the United States of America on the tension that have arisen between us and the United States of America. Part of it arises from some unpatriotic South Africans who call themselves Afrikaners, who have tracked to the United States of America and speak badly about their own country. The president has established a team. It's led by Minister Pakstau on the matters of trade. There are negotiations that are taking place. You may have seen a day before yesterday an announcement around AGOA that there's some reprieve of about 12 months or so. That's as a consequence of these engagements that are taking place. I'm here at the P20 of Parliament in the context of the G20. The American delegation was here, but they had to leave because of the shutdown of the American situation there because of the budget. There couldn't be agreement about the budget in the US. They had left because remember, South Africa has to hand over to the United States of America, and it was agreed today here in the P20 that the diplomatic channels, now that the US is not here, will be used to hand over the chairpersonship of the P20 to the US. So the US is realizing on its own the importance of multilateralism. They may be on a path now towards unilateralism, as we have seen, but the reality is that on their own, they are beginning to realize that unilateralism is not sustainable, but multilateralism is more sustainable. And gradually, they are beginning to realize that. And we are happy that they sent some delegation to come here to Cape Town, and they had to leave because of the situation of the budget in the US.
All right, Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on International Relations, thank you so much for your time this evening. That is Supra Mahumapelo speaking to us, giving condolences, of course, for the passing of the South African ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, and also his reaction to Israel's interception of the flotilla. We'll have more news after this. Do stay with us.